This is kind of my first branded item of clothing that I kept for myself. How selfish of me. Hello and welcome to Phronesis Clothing. My name is Phronesis, and this will be my first video in hopefully a series of many to come. And today I really wanted to talk to you about Phronesis Clothing, where the idea for this new brand has come from and what the philosophies behind it are. But rather than me just jabbering on and talking at you, I thought it might be nice to personalise this sketchbook that I recently bought myself. I should say that I rarely ever buy myself these kind of things. For some stupid reason, I don't ever tend to spend a lot of money on myself when it comes to buying new creative stuff and materials. It's not actually that expensive. So yeah, I just wanted to say you are worth it and you should invest in good quality stuff. What we're going to do is I'm going to draw my logo on this for all of my designs to come. What I've got for that is, here's some stuff I made earlier. I had a little bit of a trial with the logo, so I don't know if you can see that. So I went through a few different options for the logo and I eventually landed on the bottom one. Then this is a chalk pencil. I'll be using that. Hopefully it will make enough of a mark to see. Yeah, I think that will work. So that I can trace that after, and I'll trace that with these paint in a pen, I think they call it. So painting pens, and they pretty much scribe on any surface. So I've got them in various colours. There's silver and gold, black and white. Now black obviously don't need that. Goodbye black. I'll probably stick with just gold because I think that would look really rich on this surface, but we'll see if we maybe venture out and use silver too, and maybe some white. We'll see. Got a rubber as well to wipe out this chalk pencil if it goes awry, and it'll be good to have some rulers and some, I don't know what you call these, angle measurers. Please leave me the correct name in the comments if you know it. Thank you. That'd be great. I should note that I have tried these pens out before on my actual phone case. So yeah, I know that they work, although I try not to. I try to keep it from being battered around, but you know what it's like. You sometimes drop your phone or leave it on some kind of weird surface, so things have been flaking off, but that is just because of the wear and tear of my phone and putting it in and out of the case, I suppose. So I'm suspecting that this book won't see half as much wear and tear as the phone. So yeah, hopefully this will stick nicely to it. I'll make myself a cup of tea. Very rainy and gloomy in old Yorkshire. Yeah. So I decided to sit here and have a bit of a hot drink, make myself a brew. So please feel free to do the same and then we can get started. Cheers. Welcome back, hopefully with some tea or coffee or whatever drink you fancy of your own. And then without further ado, I'm now going to draw. Finally. So to start off, let's talk about the naming of the brand and how much of a mouthful that is, but let me explain to you why I chose it, because it does have a lot of meaning to me. So Phronesis is a concept that first comes up in literature in ancient Greek. It is an ancient Greek word, so first of all, apologies to anyone Greek watching this. I'm hoping that there's not a lot of cultural appropriation going on with this, because as you might be able to tell from my name, I'm Dutch, I'm not Greek. I don't speak Greek, or ancient Greek for that matter. I don't think a lot of people do. I mean, I might have to be corrected on that. Phronesis is a concept that is really heavily associated with Aristotle, and Aristotle just so happens to be my favourite philosopher of all time. Caveat all this, I studied philosophy for my bachelor's, as well as environmental science. And I went on to do a master's degree in applied ethics, where I tried to combine the two even more, and then went on to start a PhD in the topic of climate justice. That all sounds rather megalomaniac. Phronesis is the concept of practical wisdom, or it's sometimes translated with prudence, and it's this idea that Aristotle proposed, that it is the essential virtue to cultivate. So a virtue in the sense of an attitude that you have, a way of acting consistently. This practical wisdom is something that is cultivated as well as any of the other virtues, but it's pivotal in making sure you are a virtual person. I wrote my thesis on the idea of phronesis to see what it meant and how it could still be relevant in this day and age, even though it's over 2,000 years old, and how it could maybe tell us a little bit about how we could be better people in our attitude towards nature. So that really fascinated me as a concept. Not really demonising people for not being able to do it straight away. This is something you learn over time. I thought that was really powerful. It means there's a glimmer of hope for all of us fallible people to start doing the right thing, and by repetition and creating a habit, as Aristotle writes it, you can become a morally good person. Really dumbing this down, butchering it maybe a little bit. So let me read this to you. There is one essential virtue, namely phronesis, translated with prudence or practical wisdom, which is essential in determining which act is the most virtuous and therefore required for all other virtues. Aristotle presses that prudence can only be obtained by acquiring contextual knowledge, relevant to a great variety of situations, which can only be gained through experience. This contextual knowledge consists of both theoretical and practical data. In essence, as philosopher Rosalind Hursthouse describes, it is worldly knowledge. This virtue can be recognised by people in others. These persons can be labelled as phronemoi, wise people that lead by example. So putting the whole academic spiel aside, apologies if I sent you to sleep, I would not be surprised if I did. I really wanted to start a brand that didn't just make clothes for the sake of it, because in the wise words of Patrick from the Great British Sewing Bee, we've got enough clothes around the world to clothe the next 6 generations, as he put it. I think that's right. I'm going to go fact check it. Because the fashion industry really is one of the most demanding on the environment and on the planet, and don't we all want to do our little bit? So that idea just kind of stewed in my head for a long time, and I decided to, when I start this brand, I said to myself, I want to source materials as environmentally friendly as possible, and in social ways as well. So what I came up with, heavily inspired by the Great British Sewing Bee, where they have that episode where they use things from charity shops and revamp it into something really cool. I think the last season they made bomber jackets, so that's where I got the idea from to make this, although I have to caveat, this is all new materials, although bought in a local York shop. Gillies fabrics, if you don't know it, go check it out, they're great. I'll make an effort to buy all my trimmings and the bits and bobs that I do need new from them as well, like the yarn and buttons and zippers and stuff like that if I can't source them. The other part of it is that I'll be going to charity shops in York or anywhere I may find myself to source the materials and try and pick really cool fabrics that I can visualise morphing into something else by me. So that's the idea. I've already done a haul, so I can show you that. Stay tuned. Clothing made from essentially recycled charity shop materials, so that part of the money that goes towards buying the materials goes to good causes, and locally sourced new materials that I may need, and combine them all together into making new, hopefully loved clothing, either by myself or when I get to a point where I try and sell it. So the inspiration to do these videos, and hopefully more to come in the future, came from me kind of spiralling down into a rabbit hole on YouTube. I'm sure you're all guilty of that sometimes. You might be doing it right now. But or on any other social media platform really. So I spiraled down one of those really lovely rabbit holes into the wonderland that is sewing videos. Oh, and there's so many out there, they're great. And I found some really, really awesome channels that I thought just really inspired me to start picking up that needle and thread again and start working. One of them is Bernadette Banner. She is awesome, for one, and she makes historical clothing from sort of the 19th century, I believe, mostly. I mean, she does make other stuff as well, and makes costumes for when she goes to costume college. She does very in-depth research into her projects. She's brilliant at hand sewing, and let me tell you, I'm not. Well, I say that, that's maybe a bit of an imposter syndrome type thought that comes into my head. We can all learn to be good at hand sewing, I'm sure. I historically haven't had the patience to do it, so I really, really admire her for that patience. Oh, I should also say that you might have seen this singer behind me. Now, she actually uses one to sew some bits on a machine rather than hand sewing, but I should say I won't be using that. I don't even know if it works, so do check out her channel. Another channel that really inspired me was Rachel Maxey's, which I will also link. She is hella funny. She might put it herself that way. I feel like I know these people. I don't, obviously, I've never met them in person, but you get a vibe from them, obviously, watching the videos. Yeah, she makes a lot of costumes, I should say, some historical as well, and yeah, she's just really funny to watch, and her video editing is like, I suppose that was her former job, something to aspire to, I suppose. So those definitely inspired me, and there might just be sort of Kathy Hay type mentions in the video as well. She does historical costumes and she's got her own business and everything, but she does a lot of videos on the mental side of dealing with maybe self-doubt, an obstacle in the way you're thinking about your sewing quality and the way you approach projects. It helps you kind of work through those self-doubting thoughts and feelings. There might be some of those things that I will say that might be inspired by her. Yeah, go check all of their channels out. So there's the idea. I hope that makes sense and you are not snoring through the whole of this video. I can imagine if you would. But I just thought to set it out for you so that you know what we're talking about and why this mouthful of a name with a little bit of cultural appropriation was chosen by me. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you've liked this so far and you are keen to see what's coming next, as I am, then please subscribe or follow or whatever you name it, and you'll be updated obviously in due course when there's a next video, and yeah, more to come because I've got that big haul of fabric to show you as well, which I'm thinking I've just decided I'll keep to some other video because this one is going to be super long already. So stay tuned and I'll see you in the next one. Bye! I just wanted to take to that, let me hide the brand, because this is not sponsored. Oh, there's so much branding on this. Bernadette Benner, I should say that again. Why did I struggle with that? She's not got a difficult name. Caveat all this when oh yeah, that's it. I did put a page marker in, but it kind of disappeared, so hope you appreciate my effort here, but yeah, and I put in Legolas because why not? Lord of the Rings for the win. Antiquariat, is that the word? Some kind of repair shop for antiques? That might be a really Dutch translation of the word, and apologies.